If you were watching much of cable news today, particularly the left-leaning channels, you were probably reminded that today marks the third anniversary of the murder of George Floyd at the hands of now former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. That news coverage no doubt included mention of President Biden's marking of the milestone by issuing a call to Congress to, quote, enact meaningful police reform and send it to my desk. Now, George Floyd's death was a defining moment in a movement and a national tragedy. But I do wonder, what is the equivalent day with regard to good, honest police officers killed in the line of duty? Of course, they are killed far more often than innocent civilians. What is the day each year where the media will really remember them? Did you know it was Peace Officers Memorial Day on May 15th? There were a couple of mentions of it. President Biden released a video tribute on Twitter. But that's nothing like the national vigils, public statements, op-eds, analysis, mass media coverage that anything connected to George Floyd got on this third anniversary. Every day, police officers walk into dangerous, insane situations. Last week, California Highway Patrol officer pinned to the ground, beaten by a man he'd prevented from walking up a highway on a ramp. Thankfully, several bystanders intervened to help the officer.
As our officer was getting back on his motorcycle to leave the scene, the pedestrian ran towards the officer with his fist raised in a fighting stance.
And last month, Indianapolis police pursuing a suspect who refused to comply with a traffic stop. Suspect opening fire with a rifle before the police cars even came to a stop. This video made public this week. 2 officers were shot.
Reloading. Ah! I'm hit. Oh.
Thankfully, their injuries were not life-threatening. They were released from the hospital days later, the suspect killed. In Oklahoma City, an officer responding to a domestic dispute brutally sucker punched and beaten unconscious. Suspect took off, hid nearby. Turns out it wasn't the first time he'd assaulted a cop. He was arrested and charged, but that officer, according to her department, now has a long road to recovery. And these are all cops who survived. Out of the 135 officers who've been shot this year, 15 have been killed. But it seems the media wants to focus on the bad cops more than they do on the good ones, or the dead ones. This is not an effort in any way to undermine the remembrance of George Floyd, but simply to ask, where is that defining moment where the media recognizes an anniversary, we stand up and say, enough is enough when it comes to officers being shot at and people disrespecting police officers? The reason we probably can't have a single day, an anniversary, because sadly, it's far too common. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.